How's everybody doing? Great. Okay, so yes, my name is Josh York. I'm the founder and CEO of GYMGUYZ. We service over 1,350 cities throughout the US, Canada, and the United Kingdom. We're just touching on 200 locations. Started this in my parents' dining room in 2008. We started franchising in 2014. And the journey is as painful as it gets. So obviously today's session is about branding and how do you brand and use that to sell deals and build more awareness and build credibility. So we're gonna talk about that. First, I want to tell you what it's done for me. But before I get into that, I brought my glass jar with me, and I'm gonna keep it right here. You guys see it? Of course not, it's imaginary. But every time I tell you a story, it automatically goes in that glass jar. So just keep that in mind, all right? So what has personal branding done for me? Well, it's done a lot. I've sold many franchises, probably over 50 franchises just from content and being on the best podcasts in the world, some of the largest podcasts in the world. I have a podcast myself. I've had the best entrepreneurs in the world on it, and I continue to book the best entrepreneurs in the world on it. And why is that great? Because it builds credibility, right? People try to put out content when you've done nothing. You cannot put out content when you haven't worked hard and done something. You have to put the work in first. The work comes before that. Now, this is gonna sound like it's gonna kind of go sideways, but I am gonna leave 10 minutes for some Q&A, but everything's gonna come together towards the end. So I wanna start back to how I started this. I told you I started this in my parents' dining room. Killed myself, busted my butt for a long time. I was a personal trainer, but I knew a trainer wasn't scalable, right? Being a trainer and being a doctor are exactly the same thing. A doctor without patients is unemployed, and a trainer without clients is unemployed. So I used to always say to myself, how can I make money when I'm not working? Well, you know, I went to college, got a 9-to-5, because that's what you're supposed to do. I was making almost $200,000 a year as a personal trainer, and I gave that up for a $35,000 job in the marketing firm. Crazy, right? But I thought that's what I was supposed to do. After being in this negative environment, I couldn't take it anymore, so I went back into fitness. Long story short, one of my clients came in and said, Josh, I wish you can come to my house, I just don't have any equipment. And I was like, wow, no one's ever professionalized this service. I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna franchise it. Came up with the name GYMGUYZ. GYMGUYZ stands for Get You Motivated, Goals Uniquely Yours, Zero Excuses, and it took off like a rocket ship. So, lots of problems, right, to get there first. So the first story I want to share with you, and again, stories go in a glass jar, remember that, right? So when I started GYMGUYZ, I used a Z, but I knew, because I'm always thinking ahead, and you gotta be smart, that no one's gonna know the brand, so people are gonna go to the website with the S. So I was like, I have to buy GYMGUYZ with an S. And if you go to the GYMGUYZ with an S today, it goes to GYMGUYZ with a Z. So I went online, someone was selling it for $48,000. I didn't have 48 cents to buy the website. So I kept messaging the guy. And let me tell you something. If you wanna win in anything in life, you must be consistent. Does everyone in here brush your teeth twice a day? Raise your hand. That's good. Same rules apply to business, to your fitness, everything. You must be consistent. So I kept calling him, and I'm an action taker, right? The action takers are the money makers, and if you want to make money, you better take action. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna book a flight, and I'm gonna fly out to Denver, because this is where this guy lived, right? I looked up the IP address, he lives in Colorado. So I'm gonna fly to his house. I have that ticket framed in my office today, by the way. Guy's name is Al Helen, I still talk to him today. Can't hear me, but shout out to Al, great guy. So I flew to his house. He was in like a rural area in Denver, in Colorado, excuse me, and he wasn't home. So I was like, all right, you know, I'll grab some food, I'll come back later. Come back later, he wasn't home again. So like within distance, you can see there's another house down the road. So I go to that other house, and they're home. So I was like, hey, you know, I'm looking for Al. You guys know, oh yeah, Al's on vacation this week. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And they're like, yeah, he's not coming back to next week. So I'm like, oh my God. Now keep in mind, at this point, I must have called this guy like 70 times before I went to his house. Left a note with his neighbor, comes home next week, called me up. He's like, listen, I'm filing a police report because this is getting actually out of control and crazy. You're stalking me, and this has got to stop. And I just said, Al, listen. I was like, I'm the same age as your children, aren't I? And he said, yes. I said, I'm going to build the largest fitness brand in the world. I need this website. You're not even using it. Long story short, I got the website for free. After hard work, after consistency, got the website for free. Boom, in the jar. Okay, how did I sell my first franchise? So I didn't take a trip for almost 8.5 years. And right before I had my first son, my wife said she wanted to go to Cabo. And I was super nervous to go. I just got approved for franchising. It was December 2013, a week of Christmas week right there. So I was like, all right, you know what, we'll go. Went on vacation, super nervous. And the whole time on the flight, because I'm obsessed, I'm crazy, right? Normal doesn't work, just so you all know. And you have to be obsessed if you want to be successful. So I get there the first night. We got there late, so we didn't have time to make a reservation. So we go to the buffet. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I love brownies. Fudgy, gooey brownies. I had a plate of like 30 of them. Yes, I don't eat them all the time or I wouldn't look like this. But so I'm walking back to my seat and some guy comes up to me and he's looking at me. He's like, what, are you gonna eat all those? And we start talking and he's like, so what do you do for a living? I was like, telling him about the franchise. He's like, man, my son would love this. FaceTiming his son, Sam. 2 weeks later, we get back home, close the first franchise. So then I took that story, right? The action takers are the money makers, right? Took that story, I pitched it to Entrepreneur Magazine. They did a full-page story for free, sold my next 3 franchises from it, and it took off like crazy. Story in the jar. Okay, now this is where it gets real crazy. So the business started growing, right? Now, to that man back there who asked the question about funding the business, who was it back there? Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna touch on that. I run a very successful corporate territory on Long Island. I do millions in it, millions. I had to step away because when you become a franchisor, you can't operate your business and grow your franchise. It doesn't work like that, right? The key is working on your business, not in your business. So I went from doing millions to like 2.5 to 2 to like the business just started going down. I couldn't find someone like Josh York because no one's like Josh York. And I had to put better systems in place, and now we're back to the numbers that we used to do. But you know, I was bleeding cash, right? Everyone's like, man, that Josh York must be super freaking loaded. I'm like dying of cash. I'm putting everything into the franchise, everything. So I was like, I need money. That's another story, which I'll tell you in a second. So it got so bad, like I suffered with cash flow issues for a decade, at least a decade, okay? But let me tell you something, this too shall pass. That applies to success and that applies to failure. But if you're weak, like 99% of most people, you're gonna crumble and fold like a cheap chair. I'll never tap out. I'd rather die than quit. It'll never happen. Just will never happen. So I found myself in Atlantic City one night in New Jersey at a casino. I had $5,000 left in my savings. I swear I was about to put it on red. Red's my color, right, GYMGUYZ? And I was about to, I was like, if I can hit this twice, I'll make payroll. So I'm sitting there. It's Friday night. And I'm like, man, okay, let's pretend. I'm going to go now. Next round. All right, here. I would have done it now. It hit red. I was like, all right, I would have won. All right, let me try the next one. It hit red again. I'm like, all right. I was like, I can't do this. This is just too crazy. So I was like, I'm not going to do this. So I go back home, right? Now, it's funny. I had a call from a friend the other day. He was telling me he needs some advice in business. He was having a tough time. And it was on a weekend. I was like, all right, well, what are you doing today? He's like, oh, I'm going out with the family. I'm like, you're going out with the family? You should be working. You should be grinding if you're having challenges right now. So I came up with the idea that it was Saturday. The bank closed at 1 o'clock. I decided to give out hundreds of free sessions to my clients. I could not take credit cards because payroll was going to hit on Monday. So I needed everything in the bank by 1 p.m. so everything would clear on Monday morning and I'd make payroll. I needed 20 grand. That was it. 20 grand. I raised $46,000 that day and made payroll in the jar. Now, what time do I have till 12? 12 o'clock? 12, okay. So now I need real money, right? Like we need to start growing. So I'm like, all right, you know what? I need real money. I need to get like a couple $1 million at least. So I start going out there. Keep in mind, I still own 100% of my company. I've never sold my company. I still own 100% of it. So I was like, all right, you know what? I have equity in my house. I'm going to get a HELOC. I'm going to mortgage my house. Do or die, baby, right? Like if you don't believe in yourself, it's never going to work. So I get with this bank. They agree to give me $1.4 million. I have to put my house up. All crazy stuff. I send this contract to my attorney. Don't sign it. Whatever you do, don't sign the contract. You'd be absolutely crazy to sign the contract. Listen, the truth is I didn't even look at the contract. I signed the contract and I said, you know what, I'll figure it out. Because I always figure it out. And you might think that's stupid. No, it's not stupid because I believe in myself and I know no matter what, I'm going to make it happen. And long story short, I paid them off like a couple months ago. But I want to get to the details of this story, how bad it got. So the payment was $22,000 a month. And I was like, holy jeez. Like at that time, it was just so crazy. But I was like, I only needed really like 500. So I figured the rest of it I'm gonna use to pay the loan. And I'm gonna just, things are gonna catch up and I'll be fine, figure it out. Things did not go fine, right? And I defaulted on that payment for like 6 months. They showed up at my office, my house. They told me that they're taking over my house. Now keep in mind, I didn't even tell my wife this because if I did, she would not be able to handle this. Listen, so not to go 700 different directions, but just so you understand, you have to develop this, right? Business is 80% of your mindset. And if you don't have the right mindset, you're gonna get destroyed. You are just never gonna make it. I've never lost a day of sleep in my life. I swear to you, when all this shit was happening, I was still sleeping every single night. But not prior to that. I used to suffer from anxiety. I would throw up every morning. I couldn't even have a conversation with an employee. I used to have such anxiety. But practice makes permanence. And you just gotta keep perfecting your craft. So anyway, I kept telling the guy at the bank, don't worry. He's like, Josh, I can't live in your pipe dreams that you're gonna build this big franchise. You know, we're gonna be taking over your house and, you know, we're gonna have to remove all the furniture in your office, right? 99% of people would just be having a heart attack at this point. So anyway, long story short, it all worked out. I paid him off and I made sure. So this guy, this is like one of those guys that no one in this room would like. He just would love making those calls to me and love just like knowing that he's gonna get me, right? So I told him, you know, in order for me to pay you off, you have to get on a Zoom call with me. I wanted to get in person, but he wouldn't, because I wanted it on video, right? And I should have actually gave you the video so we could have shared it, but I got him on video. It was the greatest video ever. And I was like, hey, Mark, his name was Mark. I'm gonna share his last name, but I was like, Mark, remember when you came and you were so friendly to me and you told me how you're taking my house and this and that? And he's like, yes, Josh, yes, Josh. I was like, well, I just wanna let you know today I'm paying you off. It looked like the guy saw a ghost. He couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. So anyway, long story short, I paid him off. In the bucket. I don't get a round of applause for that, guys? Holy shit. Gary V, all right, I'll share the Gary V story. So I was on Gary Vaynerchuk's podcast. That sold me like 7 franchises, got hundreds and hundreds of thousands on YouTube, millions of downloads, millions. That was like a 5-year process to do. And pretty much, you know, like there's a method to the madness. Now, why did Gary have me on? Because I've actually done something. Now, if you're trying to do something and build a brand, you have to first put the work out. You have to work first. If you don't put the work in, you're not gonna have any credibility. Like I have people message me all the time. Hey, I'd love to do this, I'd love to. What have you done? You've done nothing. Like you need to actually have credibility, right? But I sent him a tire, right? And although he chucked it in the garbage, he told his assistant Tyler to chuck it in the garbage. That was very a valuable part of this whole story. But I just kept, being I like to say pleasantly persistent. That's what I say, right? Because it's really annoying, But so I just kept going for years and years, and then he spoke at the IFA, and I got to hook in with his camera guy, and then I met him at the IFA. We sat in a room, and he's like, I really like you. He's like, let's meet up again. 2 years again went by, and I met up with him sitting for coffee, and he's like, Josh, what do you want? What do you want from me? You don't leave me alone, and I know you're not going to leave me alone. Like, I know you're like this rare kind of breed, like, because you're like me. That's what he said to me. I said, honestly, Gary, I'm better than you. And he's like laughing. He's like, what do you want from me? I was like, I want to go on your podcast. Now, I know selfishly that's going to help me, but it could help you too. You might want to get into franchising. I know everyone in the franchise industry, I could help you, but there's going to be some times where we're going to cross paths and I'm going to help you. And he's like, absolutely, done. That's how I got on Gary V's podcast. But, look, the key is, you guys have to understand something. All this stuff is great, but at the end of the day, you have to really be focused on what you're trying to do with this, right? Like the way I approached Gary, it was smart and strategic, right? And I've done that in a lot of other scenarios too, where, I've closed some big deals, or, I like to always say, people like to say, ready, aim, fire. I always fire, aim, ready, right? So I'll pull the trigger before I've even figured out anything. But another good story I want to talk about is Costco, because it's very relatable to Gary. So every night before I go to bed, and I would highly implore you to do this, I've been doing this since I'm 17 years old. I have 127 filled notebooks in my closet stacked of all my goals, and they just keep coming off the list. Keep coming off the list. I believe in the universe. I believe in manifestation. I have and I will continue to crush and achieve everything I want to achieve. But I like to do it at night. The reason I do it at night is because most people, you'll be tired, and there's nights where I'm tired too, but I never let that little bitch voice get to me. I always, my mind is a lot stronger than my feelings. And your mind has to be stronger than your feelings if you want to win. But I keep writing goals down, and one was always Costco. Like when I was a kid, for some reason, I would always be in Costco with my parents, and I'd always see that gift card section. I was like, man, I'm gonna have a gift card in there one day. I never knew what it was, but I said that. And I was obsessed with being in the gift card section, because Costco is a big deal, right? Like it's huge. So I got in touch with Ron Vasquez, he's the COO, his assistant. How would I do it? I just started calling every single person in the directory, and eventually someone gave me the time of day. I would literally, every day. So a good tip for you guys is if you want to grow your business, you need to move your business forward every day. You need to have tasks that you're gonna move. A task is not checking your email or making a phone call to a friend. A task is something that's actually designed that's gonna make your business move forward. So one of my tasks every day is I make 20 phone calls. Call my IFPG consultants, right? Shout out to my man Red. Call other business, prospects, franchise, whoever it is, every day. And one of those calls was Ron. So I sent his assistant, ready for this one? 37 boxes in one box. You know, like the boxes, the small boxes and all that? And then the last box, the small box, was a huge thing of Hershey Kisses. So she literally opened up 37 boxes. And at the end I said, I would keep anticipating a surprise. You ready? It's the next box. No, up, next one, gotcha. And then the last one was Hershey Kisses. And I said, this is the start of our sweet relationship. Please give me a call. So she called me up, cracking up. She's like, Josh, this was the awesomest thing ever. I was like, listen, I won't say anything to Ron. I just need his number. I won't even tell him you gave it to me. Just please give me his number. She gave me his number. So I started calling Ron. Now, you know when you call someone and you just feel the uncomfortable feeling through the phone? This guy hated me. But I'd always call him. I'm just being pleasantly persistent. Every quarter, I would always call him on the same day at the same time. And I'd always acknowledge it. Ron, it's the start of the first quarter, the start of the second quarter. It's 12 p.m. exactly, like I always call you. And I know he was like, man, this guy is freaking on point. COVID hit. I heard that 24-Hour Fitness just went bankrupt. And they had a big deal with Costco. So I jumped on it right away. I said, Ron, this is the opportunity. The reason he wouldn't want me to go into Costco was because they won't do anything in home. So I flipped it to do it virtual, right? As soon as the pandemic hit, while everyone's crying, like, oh my God, there's always opportunity, but you gotta make opportunity. So I called him up, I pitched the virtual. He's like, you know what, I love it. He's like, you're the most persistent person I've ever met in my life. Let me pass you over to my assistant. I was like, oh, who's your assistant? You know, I already know his assistant. And he's like, I'll get everything set up for you. I went into 25, 30 Costco's, whatever it was. Long story short, it didn't work out because Costco takes all the money, so it wasn't very profitable for us. But the point was, I wasn't getting in there for the money, it was for the omnipresence, right? The branding, the marketing. We sold 2 franchises from being in Costco, by the way. In the jar. Okay, so one more story. Any recommendations on another story you guys want to hear? Anything in particular? That was on the list, but Oprah's not doing her show anymore, so. Listen, the bottom line is this. If you want something, you can get it. Do you believe in yourself that you're gonna get it? Are you gonna be relentless enough to get it? And if you're not gonna be like me, you're never gonna get it. Because if you can outwork me, then yes, you will definitely be able to do it. And I hope you can. But I will always outwork everyone in this room, no disrespect to you, but that's just a fact. You need to think the same way. And I will never quit. We sold over 28 franchises in Q1. We're on pace to do about the same in Q2. This is gonna be a huge year for growth. And don't get it twisted, I've had more problems than you can possibly imagine. I used to come to these conferences back in the day when Lane would throw them, and people would say, oh, don't just sell franchises, you're gonna regret it. And I was like, I don't know what they're talking about. No, they know what they're talking about because I regretted it. I made all the mistakes you could possibly imagine. But discomfort is the only way that's gonna lead to being comfortable. And you have to embrace it and love that because, pain is part of the process. And the bottom line is, the easy way never pays well. Never pays well. And if you like diamonds, let me tell you something, pressure makes diamonds, so you gotta have a lot of pressure. But, when you're having challenging moments or situations in your business, take a deep breath and relax, because everything passes, right? The pandemic passed, this is gonna pass, that's gonna pass, everything always passes. But the majority of people, the problem is they tap out too early. So, back in the jar. So now I wanna give some Q&A, so let me just bring it all back now. Right now we're gonna go back to the personal branding. Hit it, baby. Gotta turn it up a little bit more, All right, everybody up, I like energy. Everybody up. All right, so listen. So how do you build a personal brand? First, you have to put in the work. You gotta put the work in. You gotta be consistent. Once you do that, what do? You take the glass jar of all the stories and you pour them all over the place and put them out there. Grab your phone, take a video for 30 seconds. Doesn't matter, you might think you don't look beautiful. Trust me, you look great. Post a video, you might be uncomfortable. Doesn't matter if you're uncomfortable, do it anyway, and do it every single day. But if you do not put the work in, if you do not build the stories, nothing is ever going to happen for you. That is how you build a personal brand. Thank you.
All right, everybody. I think we're a little bit more energized now, huh? I love that. Okay, so we're gonna have time for about 10 minutes of questions because I know you guys probably have a lot. So anybody have any questions to start? All right, Red, go for it.
Yeah, so I wrote a book. It's called Fuel, What It Takes to Survive as an Entrepreneur. And honestly, look, it's like a glorified business card. Like, I like to keep it real with you, but like you kind of like have to do it. But believe it or not, I sold a lot of copies. I became a best-selling author, so that was pretty cool. But I just shared my story and I just put it out there. But again, it all builds back to credibility, right? You have to build credibility. You don't understand something. 99% of my franchise partners buy into me. You need to do the same for you. Everything that's out there, they research it. I'm everywhere, right? But again, you could do social media and be private. I'm a really private guy. I'm actually extremely introverted. You might not believe that, but I really am. Okay? I don't party. I've never been drunk. I've never smoked a cigarette. I've never been high. I play hockey. As you can see, I got my face sliced here last week. I play hockey, I work out, and I spend time with my family. That's it. I don't post any of my family and my kids on social media. You don't have to do that. But if you want to get out there, you have to build credibility. And when you build credibility, you'll sell more deals because people are going to believe in you. Next question.
Anybody else? Because I have some, but it's up to you guys.
You better have some questions, so I'm going to come out there.
So I'll take one. Because I think that it's interesting the way that you've built your personal brand, and a lot of it is guerrilla style, right? Because you're doing a lot of things when it comes to packages, and that's not normally something that we'd see here in this crowd just because it's younger crowd. My girlfriend doesn't even open mail at this point, and she's 29. So to me, when I think about it, what have you found when it comes to TikTok and Instagram and podcast to you? What has been the most successful of those mediums and why?
Honestly, they're all very successful, you know. And you know, for me, I'm just really busy. So like I have a team that manages it. But, you know, then sometimes I will actually get out there and post some stuff, but most of the time my team manages, but it's a lot, like it's definitely a lot. So you need to make sure, but you got to put time in it. But again, that's a critical task for the day, right? Make sure you put out a post every day. Make sure you do that. But the work's got to come before you do that.
Any other questions, folks, from the crowd? All right, bring them. I'm coming to you.
Yeah, early on in your journey, why didn't you take private equity money?
You know, it's a good question. So actually, I could have been retired in 2017, to be the truth. That's when I should have probably taken on money. But I just didn't because, you know, one of my goals every night is I'm going to make the most multimillionaires in my company because everyone works hard and I want to take care of everybody. And it just wasn't enough money for the team, so I didn't do it. And I never shared that with my wife either because she would kill me. But I know what's happening and where we're going, so it's okay. You know, shoulda, coulda. I don't look. I develop a thing with my neck, right? I have a problem. I can't ever look back. My neck doesn't turn back. I only look this way. So I don't focus on things that could have happened, should have happened. Once it doesn't happen, we're on to the next thing.
Go ahead, Andy.
I loved your 20 calls a day and just being really regimented about that. And you said you reach out to brokers as well, consultants.
Everybody. Listen, I'm literally giving you all the secrets. The problem is no one in here is going to listen. Prove me wrong.
Do you have a Fran Dev team?
I do. Yes, I do.
So how do you manage that without stepping on their toes?
So the truth is I actually recently stepped in and took over Fran Dev as the leader because no one's going to sell like me, right? So, you know, and that came from my good friend Jimmy John. So I'm a good friend with Jimmy John. I don't know if you know Jimmy John's, but it was really funny. So, you know, I was having a conversation with him. I was like, I need a new sales guy. My sales guy's not working out. He's like, I got the best guy ever. I was like, who? Tell me. So he's like, you got good marketing material? I was like, the best. Excuse my language. He's like, you stupid fuck. So I was like, you know what? He's right. So when he said that, I was like, you know what? He was still selling franchises when he had over 2,000 units. So I stepped back in and, you know, I manage my team. I have executives that take the calls and everything. But listen, it just comes down to consistency. Like I like to say I'm a sniper's best friend. I take the same step at the same second every single day. I eat the same thing every day. You have to develop your life around that. You have to create routine. And if you do not exercise in this room, shame on you. You should, and you should start tomorrow because movement is the cure of everything. You have to move, and you will just operate at a higher level, a higher frequency on a daily basis. You have to take care of yourself. That's why I'm unstoppable. I believe you have to suffer every day, and I suffer, and I use fitness as my component to suffer because you know what? When someone serves me with a lawsuit, I laugh at it. I had 75 trainers years ago serve me with a class action lawsuit. I won, and I laughed at them because I loved the pain. I could deal with it. But that's how you set yourself up. And you guys laugh and smile, but it's the truth. And you should listen to me. Everything I'm telling you right now will change your life and everything, if you listen. But the problem is no one listens. Shame.
What's your morning routine and evening routine?
Every day I wake up at 3:29 every single day. 3:29 every single day. Get up, I eat something, a little something, shower quickly, get my workout in, depending on the day. It's a sauna, my cardio. I'm in my 27-degree ice bath every single day. I have not missed a day since I'm 17 years old. I've done it. I barely get sick, but I literally had the flu once. And I don't believe in the doctors because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Because when I go to a doctor and there's a fat guy who's overweight and out of shape telling me you need to exercise, I walk out because that makes no sense. But anyway, so I jumped into the ice bath and the next day I felt great. And the doctor's like, you're gonna be sick for 7 days. Your mind is powerful, I'm telling you. And you might think I'm crazy, and I am, but it's the truth. It's really the truth. But after my ice bath, I have 10 stalks of celery every single day. I haven't missed a day since I'm 17. Celery juice is really good for you. And then I take a shower. I do another 3 minutes of cold. So cold at the 27, cold in the shower. And I'm in my office by 7 o'clock in the morning. At night. So I leave the office anywhere between 7, 8, 9, sometimes a little later. It depends. I go home. And I never, ever say no to my kids, just so you know. I play with my kids every single day. I put my kids in the bath. I put them to bed. I never say no. And if you say you're too busy, you make time. There is no such thing as a work-life balance. Let me tell you that. You make the balance, okay? I can't work out. I'm busy. I'm a father. I have kids. That's all nonsense. Look at me. That's all nonsense. You make the time. But I literally, when I come home, as crazy and obsessed I am with my phone, I try to really put my phone to the side, and I play with my kids. And then I'll go through my phone quickly, and we're at my goals, and I'm in bed usually by 10 to 10:30. It should be earlier, and I'm trying to get to bed earlier, but it's tough. But I try. And that's every day.
Lucas?
I wanted to hear your favorite suffering workout, hardest workout you do.
The hardest workout I'd have to do is my cardio workout on Wednesday, and I only do it once a week because it's so taxing that it would literally shut down your central nervous system if you do it anymore. So I do the row machine. If anyone can do this in here, you send me a message, josh@gymguys.com with a Z. Go email me. That's my email address. And pretty much you got to do the row machine, 2,000 meters under 7 minutes. Good luck. It's like death. It's like death. But anyway, what I usually do is I do 1,000 meters, 3 minutes. Then I take 30-second break. I go right into a minute of jump rope. Then I go into 27 burpees. Take a break. Go back to the row machine. 500 meters I do in 1 minute and 35 seconds. Back to the jump rope, back to the burpees. Then I do the last round, 300 meters in 50 seconds. Back to the jump rope, back to the burpees. Then I go on the assault bike. You ready for this one? This is like death. Like people look at me like I'm out of my mind. But 1,000 watts, 8 rounds, 10 seconds hard, 30-second break. That's the hardest cardio workout I do, but before that, I'm always doing weights. I like to lift heavy-ass weights. That's what I like to do.
Wow. Okay, Ryan?
Hey, love the mindset. I believe in a lot of the same things. I'm in the restaurant business. When COVID hit, people were like, poor me. Other people were like, let's get after it. I said goodbye to the people who were like, poor me, and I'm on the team of let's get after it. I want to hear from you, not to be morbid, but talk about your darkest moment and the mindset and the conversation that you had to have with yourself to get through it.
Dude, I still have dark moments, man. Like, it's every day. You're gonna always have dark moments. Listen, you're gonna win, you're gonna have your winning seasons, and you're gonna have losing seasons, right? And when you're winning, you better get ready, because you could try to postpone it, but losing's coming again. That's it. Like, unless you live in some warm climates, and even in some warm climates, like it snowed before in Texas. Like, winter's coming, and then spring comes, and it's beautiful, and the birds are chirping. And so you're always gonna have dark moments, but honestly, I just literally just say I'm the baddest motherfucker in the world. Excuse my language, I don't like to curse, but that's what I say. And no one can touch me. I'm unstoppable. That's what I tell myself. And I just say, calm down, this too shall pass. And really, the truth is, you think I really like waking up every day at 3:29? No. Do you think I like going in the ice bath every day at 27 degrees? I hate it, actually. No, I don't. I never negotiate with my mind, ever. And you want to really get up in the morning? What I do, and it's sick and twisted, but again, you got to play with your mind. I literally say my kids are going to die if I don't get up, and I get right up. That's it, and that's what I believe if I don't get up. So if you start focusing on something that you care, you love about, and you trick your mind, you will do the same thing. But the one with the strongest mindset wins. Next question.
Jamie in the back, and you're going to have a mic in a second, so hold that thought. And now you're good.
Hey, how do you get your team to operate at your level? Or is your expectation that they do?
If you came to my office, you would be blown away by my team. Blown away. First of all, you could eat off the floors in my office. I don't even have a cleaning crew. I just have someone that takes out the garbage. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. I don't teach my kids anything. They follow what daddy does. A good leader creates other good leaders. You lead by example. You know what I can't stand? There's the boss. You just came in. It's 12 o'clock. That's not a boss. That is a boss, actually. I don't use the word boss. It makes me cringe. I'm a leader. I'm a leader. You lead by example, okay? That's it. My kids know what day the garbage goes out. They know in the morning they get up. They do push-ups. They're doing jumping jacks. They're just like me. My wife was screaming 2 weeks ago. She's like, Josh, hurry up and come over here. Look what you're doing to the kids. My kids are taking ice baths in the freaking bathroom. And I love it because I'm not going to have any weak children. My kids are going to be strong-minded. But if you want to create strong people around you, lead by example. Lead by example. Like when someone tells me, I'm having problems with my children, they're not listening to me. I don't want to be disrespectful and rude. I say, look at you. You don't take care of yourself. You don't lead by example. You sleep till 10 in the morning. You have to be an example for everybody else. And that's the key. And a good leader is a good actor or a good actress because you know what? You don't think I was nervous during COVID? Of course I was. Do you think my team knew? No. I refused to furlough or lay off anybody. I just didn't do it. I just felt wrong. I didn't do it. It was the most painful thing ever. But believe in yourself and know it's going to pass. What's going to happen? You're going to die? No. But you know what? I promise you one thing. You're going to have pain either way. You're going to have pain going through it, or you're going to have pain and regret of saying, man, you know what? What if I would have stuck it through? What if I would have kept, But that's how your team gets on the board. And my team, everyone's got high energy. I don't put up any of that crap of that negativity. When I literally correct people, they say, that's going to be great. That's going to be great if that happens. I say, excuse me? That's going to be great when that happens. The words you speak are very powerful. You get up in the morning and tell yourself you're a rock star? Probably not. You should. You tell yourself you're beautiful, you're the most amazing person in the world, you're unstoppable, no one's going to touch me? Probably not. You should. The words you speak are powerful. And you know what? When you build a great team and collectively, everyone feels the same way. Everyone believes in the same vision. You're going to get there much faster. But are you going to have cancers along the way? Of course. I've been screwed over by more people than you could possibly imagine. I laugh about it because you know what? When I'm laughing at the bank, they're going to be like, man, I should have listened to him. That's the name of the game. But just lead by example and your team will follow.
Okay, so I'm going to ask one more question, then we're going to close out for lunch here. So something that's consistently on a lot of people's minds here is obviously there's a lot of franchise kids, quote unquote, that are here, including myself. Can we get a show of hands of people who grew up in franchising and are now executives actually in the business today? Okay, so it's about 5 to 7 people in the group, which is definitely a good amount. So I want to kind of ask this question. So somebody who is so mercurial, such as yourself, I think that it's clear that you emanate this energy that is almost impossible to replicate, right? Talk to us a bit about as you think about the brand and private equity may come along, or you may decide someday that you want to spend more time with your children after working so damn hard for so long. When you're thinking about succession planning to you, when you're thinking about doing that eventually, what are some of the things that you need to find somebody that can carry the same amount of energy and do what you do?
Listen, it's very hard to keep on my level. It really is. I'm not just saying that. I'm just being honest. I'm just different. My energy is just different. I'm just a different type of person. If you could just focus on being confident, right? Confidence changes everything. And you have to be confident. And if you could focus on being confident and building yourself up, and how does that start? Honestly, you want to know the honest truth? Go home, get naked, and stand in front of a mirror and tell me how you feel about yourself. If you don't feel good about yourself, that's the first place you should start. You have to feel good about yourself. And that's where the confidence comes from. And the energy will come with that. But practice makes perfect, man. Who would you rather have on your team, right? Someone who's taking 10 different basketball shots all the time, or one person who's practicing the same shot over and over and over and over again. And that's the shot that you need to win. You're going to pick the one who's just doing one shot. It's about practice and consistency. The problem is, I got my New Year's resolutions. That is the biggest bunch of nonsense I've ever heard in my life. I actually hate when we run those ads. My CMO's like, we have to. I hate it. It's BS. You should have goals weekly, quarterly, monthly. You should constantly be crushing your goals and moving on. Resolutions don't work. Action plans do. And you got to take action. But I would say start with taking care of yourself first. Do you eat healthy? Do you think I don't eat like crap? All weekend I do. It's called 80-20. 80% you eat well, 20% you don't. It's not that complicated. It's not. But if you start taking care of yourself, you're gonna be more confident and you're gonna have more power. That's a fact.
Alrighty. Well, thank you very much to Mr. Josh York, and thanks again, everybody.
Thank you.